Jeannie and I, and our family, we are going through various challenges along this journey. Autism is definitely one of them, but it's not the whole thing. And the reason I provide you examples of how to reframe this stuff is so that it doesn't take you out. It doesn't make you hopeless. It doesn't demoralize you, because being demoralized in one area of your life will affect the other areas of your life as a whole. What I do know is this, is that you're stuck in the past, and the past is holding you captive. So when you're young and you don't get what you want, if you've raised children, you know this. You used to be, if you're listening to this program, a child. If you don't get what you want, what you do is you create actions that get you what you want, even if it's not healthy. So if you want attention from your parents and they're not giving you attention, then you create a disturbance so that you get attention. And you hear people talk about, well, hey, bad attention is attention. And you hear about young people that go out with the wrong kind of people, because any attention is better than no attention. So why do you do what you do? Why is it when you hear X or Y that you act in such a way or you get triggered? Why is it that when something doesn't go your way that you are petulant and you punish your spouse or you punish your children? Why is it when you get disappointed, you lash out and you start to attack the people that love you? And it almost seems uncontrollable for why you're doing what you do, and you regret it and you don't want to do it. So the question is, what are the lies that you're believing in your life? Where are you stuck? Because I, in one particular area of my life, was stuck 40 years in the past believing something that had nothing to do with me. So I want you to know that. Increase your awareness about who you are and about why you do what you do. It's a brilliant question. Okay, it's okay to be disappointed about the challenges that you face in life. I don't think we, as a species, take a lot of time to really learn how to burn through the disappointment. Like, we just don't handle it well. At least I haven't handled it well in the past. And so that was one thing that I knew about myself, that I get disappointed. And so I tried my best to parent my children in such a way that's like, I know you're disappointed. I know you're frustrated. It's okay to be upset, but let's learn how to move through it. And I've had to do that myself. And I think a lot of times, we as adults don't realize that we're really just extremely disappointed and we don't know how to deal with it. Episode of Man versus Marriage. It is I, your humble servant, the Q Dog, in the Moran family studio with my lovely wife, Jeannie Moran. Jeannie, go ahead and say whatever you want to say.
What's up?
What's up? Yeah, I'm interested to have this discussion today because I have observed, it's a term that I'm using quite often lately, just about what I'm observing. I've observed that there's life going on for people. And so I figure if we have just an open discussion about what's going on in our life and how things are going in other people's lives that we're connected to or that we're helping, it's going to help our listener prospect the same, or at least identify, like take inventory about what's going on in his or her own life, and then use that to let some of the air out of the balloon. And also, maybe we'll just have a little bit of fun and talking about whatever it is we want to talk about. Typically, the show is pretty structured. But today, we're going to talk about a few things. I mean, for us in our life right now, autism is extremely challenging. and
very boisterous
on several fronts. It's no secret. I believe we've talked about on the program. When we were in California, we used medical marijuana, which was the best. Jeannie can fact check this. It was the absolute best thing we had that kept Hunter and Kirsten regulated. Not as aggressive. They could actually sleep. They were much more pleasant to be around. It just didn't seem like they were overstimulated 100% of the time. And
we still had times where they were, but it wasn't like lately. It's been like every day.
Well, yeah, but before we started the medical marijuana, we were days and days. We would go days without these two people sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, it was very difficult. And we tried all the medications that, neurology or whoever wanted us to try. And there were some times that were just downright mentally and emotionally debilitating.
They don't respond to regular medications like others do. For example, if I take a Benadryl, I'm going to be sleepy. If Hunter or Kirsten takes a Benadryl, it's like giving them a 3-foot pixie stick full of sugar and they can't shut it off for hours.
Well, that's true. And some of the medications, I don't know what the name of one in particular was, but I just distinctly remember, one night, usually the way it goes is the first night or two, they would sleep and we'd be like, okay, maybe we're onto something here. And then the next thing you know, like night 3 through 5, they've built up some kind of meta tolerance to it. But this one thing in particular is when Kirsten was trying one of these medications, and for like 45 minutes one night,
Klonopin. I know which one it was.
I think you're absolutely correct.
She went into ballistics. She just started sobbing. She's ramming her head into the wall. She was scratching herself. She's crying. She's
Screaming.
kicking me. She's screaming.
Yeah.
She couldn't close her eyes. If we tried to lay her down to sleep, she'd freak out. Like, she looked at you like you had a third eye in your head. I don't know what she was seeing. I don't know what was going on, but it was just horrid. And we did it for like 6 hours straight before she finally like slowed down enough to get it out of her system. And then they kept telling us, well, just try it for a few days. It could take a few days to get used to it. We were like, no, absolutely not. I can't tolerate that. She's going to hurt herself if she doesn't hurt me first. I mean, we had one night, one of them that she took might have been the same episode. Little girl was 6, maybe 7 years old, and launched my butt clean across the room with her feet because she was that irritated and pissed off and couldn't. And what it ends up being, from what we understand, is Hunter can kind of vocalize a little bit now and tell you, my brain's going fast. My brain is going fast. And you're like, okay, we don't know exactly what that means, but it kind of gives us an idea that we need to maybe watch something slower on TV, or maybe, take the TV away and get him coloring on coloring pages. It just feels like maybe he has too much stim and he doesn't know how to put it into actual
actually, he has vocalized it before, and said, my mind's spinning in circles.
Yeah.
I think it was that same era on a Mother's Day when Kirsten headbutted me and like busted my eyebrow open. And that was towards the lowest of the lows. And you guys know, the audience that has followed the program, some of these stories, if not all of them by now. And so it really challenges your fortitude, because as parents, we have wonderful children that help us through this, but you don't truly get a day off unless you're on a vacation, hundreds of miles away and there's nothing you can do. You just don't get a day off. And so over time, these situations in your life, if you allow them, they can begin to demoralize you. You can get demoralized. You can get through the process of being like disappointed about the way things are going. And it can mentally demoralize you. And you can start to kind of get to a point where you're feeling like, is this ever going to change? And then when you start to follow that path, things can get ugly. And so for you, listener, it may not be autism. It may be something else. And look, I like to say there's a lot of beauty that comes along with autism, but there's a whole lot of beast that comes along as well. So it gets challenging for us, and it affects every facet of our life. Where do we go into public? one of the most recent times we took Hunter to a Texas Rangers game, and we were there to have a great time. We sat in a new spot, and
We had Kirsten too.
Kirsten was there. Yeah, well, she was there, which I was gonna. We sat in a new spot, and we had like a
Overhang.
an overhang.
We
It was a roof over us.
We
and
sat where the announcer was. Like the announcer booth was directly behind us. So there's the covering that has the seats above us, but it's also it just magnifies all of the sound.
And so that turned into
a nightmare.
It was
for everybody.
It was a nightmare.
We actually had people that were sitting in front of us that got up and moved because Kirsten could not calm down. And we had all of our tricks. We had everything. She's been to games before.
Mm-hmm.
Normally we sit up a little bit higher and then we sit where it's open. So there's nothing above us. We're not all the way in the nosebleeds, but we're pretty close. But they up there, it's like by the time the noise gets to us, it's a lot less, but there's nothing to echo either. And they're real familiar with it. We've been to the same, we pretty much get the same section, not necessarily the same seats, but they know where the bathrooms are. They know what food is up there.
Mm-hmm.
I do that on purpose for Hunter because it makes things a lot easier. It's his tradition to go for his birthday. So if we kind of keep everything the same, when he goes, he gets excited because he knows where he's going and what's going on. He knows the area.
Yeah.
This time we thought, well, let's move closer. Let's see if we can get better seats and try something new. Wrong.
They're great seats. We got seats at Costco very affordably. It was amazing. But, and so it's like, okay, well, so when do we go back to the baseball game? If we do, which I believe we will. Can't go to the movies right now.
No.
I think I was pretty close to getting in a fist fight at the movies.
Well, that guy was an idiot. Kirsten was struggling. And to be honest with you, she wasn't struggling. Kirsten was being Kirsten. We went to go see a movie with the family. It was a family-friendly movie. It was a Beetlejuice movie. She likes the original Beetlejuice. She thought it was funny. So we took everybody. We had 4 of us in the back seat, in the back row, 4 of us in the front of us. And Kirsten had been medicated prior to going. So we knew at some point during the movie, she's going to slow down a little bit. Well, as soon as the lights went down, neither one of us had really thought about the previews. Sometimes they like to show scary movies in the previews, and Kirsten does not do scary. That's kind of what we're up against right now. When we were in the movie, there were some things in the new Beetlejuice that I don't know if it frightened her, but she just didn't like it as much. So she was talking. And she kept saying, okay, Dad, let's go. Okay, Dad, let's go. Like she kept making comments, and then she would get kind of squealy and squeaky, and some idiot, and forgive me, but he went and got somebody from the movie theater to come in and then approached us to ask us if there was a problem because she kept crying that she wanted to go home, and she kept saying, let me go, and things like that, which is her script. It is not, nothing was happening to her. It is her script.
Well, I don't.
But when he came up and looked at her, he took one look at her in the flashlight and was like, oh. It's like, yeah, you're an ass.
I don't, I have a different opinion from you on that. We're in public. People's pay to see the movie. A lot of the time, the movie can cover, her sound, depending on what the movie is. And those people paid their good hard-earned money, so I don't necessarily blame them. But the way this guy approached the situation, like I don't know. It was not normally how we encountered people in public, and we are the disruption. So I don't take offense to that, because when she gets to a certain point, some of these things I've had to take her out of the theater just out of respect for everybody else. So I'm not beyond.
But like I said, that was the thing though. She wasn't being horrible. She wasn't being obnoxiously loud. It was minimal compared to what she could have been.
Yeah.
It was minimal. But the way he approached you was as if you were hurting her or you had done something and that's.
So those things can toy around with your mind. But they can also if you don't allow them to demoralize you after you have some time being frustrated and disappointment, and this goes for all of your issues or challenges in life. If you get through, it's okay to be disappointed about some of these things. Okay. It's okay to be disappointed about the challenges that you face in life. I don't think we as a species take a lot of time to really learn how to burn through the disappointment. Like, we just don't handle it well. At least I haven't handled it well in the past. And so that was one thing that I knew about myself, that I get disappointed. And so I tried my best to parent my children in such a way that's like, I know you're disappointed. I know you're frustrated. It's okay to be upset, but let's learn how to move through it. And I've had to do that myself. And I think a lot of times, we as adults don't realize that we're really just extremely disappointed and we don't know how to deal with it. And it's like, hey man, pull up your boots and just get over it. Well, sometimes you got to think through, why am I feeling this way? Oh, okay, here's why I feel this way. It makes sense. And then you can move on. Like, move on without any residue. You can move on. But for me, I was talking to the girls, after having this most recent movie theater experience, and I'm like, I wonder if we could pile our money together and do, like, because they do it often, but why couldn't we do one, like a sensory movie night where you rent a theater and then invite families with special needs out, and the lights don't have to go all the way out. And if the kids are loud or whatever, if that happens, it's okay, because we know how that feels. And it'd be cool for us. And I was talking to, like, Jocelyn and Sophia. It'd be cool for us one time to host our own movie there. So I'm going to call over and find out what the cost is. And I'm already coaching in a special needs baseball league. So there are plenty of people. And our hope is that we can pull enough money together between us to give it to them as a free night, which I think would be outstanding. And then we go watch a movie, and just, if they got to spaz out, let them spaz out. But be there, full of a room of people that understand, that can relate to how we feel about it.
Sophie found a theater out here that does those, that they're going to be doing Toy Story and something else somewhere in the near future, but we haven't had a chance to really dig into it yet to find out. She heard it in passing, so I haven't had a chance to really look it up.
Well, I'm looking to host one. I'm happy to go and attend it, but like, you know me well, I'm not gonna complain about something for too long until I either shut up or do something about it. And so why not do something about it? I got a great dude that lives in this house that would greet every single person as they come into the movie theater. He would be a great host for them. And who knows what we could watch. Here's a side note. I did see that Rocky IV is going to be in the theaters next year, I think.
We're not going to make that a sensory-friendly movie.
Oh, me and Hunter are going to be there.
You guys can go to that movie, but
we're not using that one, but we're going.
No.
So why do I tell you this story? Because like everyone else, Jeannie and I, and our family, we are going through various challenges along this journey. Autism is definitely one of them, but it's not the whole thing. And the reason I provide you examples of how to reframe this stuff is so that it doesn't take you out. It doesn't make you hopeless. It doesn't demoralize you, because being demoralized in one area of your life will affect the other areas of your life as a whole. Your thoughts, you agree, you disagree? What do you think?
No, I agree with you.
So that's just one. And if you are a man or a woman of faith, I just ask you to pray for the Morans. Number one, we need it. I want it. I want your prayers. But that hope would continue to rise in our household. And that's one of those prayers years ago that I believe the Holy Spirit gave me, because I would not share my problems with anybody. Of course, Jeannie knew my problems because we talked about them. But I wouldn't share them because I didn't want to be a burden to other people. And that really opened some things up in me. If you have people that you love, people that you trust, it's okay to share some of those struggles that you go through with them. The ones you cannot share with them, you have my email address, Quincy@mvsmpodcast.com. And there are a decent amount of people out there who have emailed into us to talk about things that they can't necessarily talk to anybody else about. And I hold that as sacred to me. I love the idea that you're willing to reach out, that we've built a relationship or rapport with you on the podcast, and you're willing to talk about those things, because we don't only just talk about marriage. We talk about life in general, like we're doing today. So, honey, what are some of the things, as we talked about what this show might look like, what are some things that you're seeing in life with some of the people that you interact with, some of the people that you might counsel? What are you seeing?
I think right now awareness is the biggest. And it's interesting to me because when I listen to people and we're counseling or we're talking, amongst authors or whatever, and it's like, I listen to different. I don't know how to put it. Like there are certain things that we do. There's certain behaviors that we have, and nowadays everything goes under some kind of label, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. But looking back and comparing the behaviors that I do to my mom's and thinking, well, she didn't have a label for it, but I do remember these things used to really irritate her. These things used to overwhelm her, and she used to get really frustrated. Now, for me, you and I would call those a speed bump, where I have my things planned, everything is supposed to go a certain way, and then Quincy would call and say, "Hey, babe, I need you to do this," and
Yeah.
my brain would explode. And it didn't even have to be anything big. It was just you threw me off what I had planned and what I was in the mood to do, and it shifts everything from my mindset to my emotions to how I act to everything. And it's not Quincy's fault. The thing about it is, for me, I get overwhelmed easily. I get anxious easily because I'm overwhelmed, and overwhelmed creates anxiety. Anxiety creates frustration. Frustration creates anger. And then anger creates arguments because
Yeah,
it's really easy for us to.
I think if let me interrupt you right there real quick because there's a significant amount of truth. What you say, it's true. The anxiety piece doesn't just create anger. I believe it also creates some sort of fear,
It does.
which turns into anger.
Well, yes and no. For some, depending on the situation, because like for me, the fear can also it can debilitate me. I can There are some things, and I don't think some people realize this, and I'm discovering it more and more with myself, and the more I talk to women that are in my same age bracket and we're all kind of going through the same thing, there are some things that literally paralyze you mentally. Like you have to make a decision and you just like you can't. Like you just cannot make a decision. For me, Quincy and I were talking about it this week, and thankfully I have somebody that I go to in the author world when this happens to me. I'm writing a current book and I have some things coming up in the future. I'm in the middle of planning some things for the next year because I need to be planned out. That's my thing. I have to have a roadmap. If I don't have a roadmap and you let me go, the GPS is not going to be of help to anybody. So I have to know what I'm doing. And this one particular project that I'm working on, I got stuck on it. It came up, sorry, and there's reveals, releases, things like this that are coming up. And so I wanted to one of my goals before the end of the year is to reboot my website and get this series up. And there's some things that I wanted to do with it, and I could not put the words together. Now, I'm not working on the series. The series is not due for several months. I'm currently in something else. But because I'm trying to forward plan, I got stuck. And my friend and I joked that basically my hamster popped off the wheel and it just wouldn't move until we got this situation handled. For me, that's very frustrating. And for me, it can put me in a position where I can go into a depression because I feel like I am not progressing. I'm not making forward motion. I'm not able to do the things that I do. I start getting behind on my word count. I start getting behind on my time blocks. And those things for me can mess with my head and put me in a backward spiral. So I found the solution to this for myself was to have somebody that I work closely with that I call and say, okay, I need help with this, just this. I don't need help with the storyline. I don't need help with my word count. I just this one project. I need to do this one thing, and when I can get it off my plate, I can move forward. For me, we kind of call that a paralysis because I cannot move. It's very similar to when Hunter is doing something and you want to transition him to do something else. If that project that he's currently working on is not done, he throws a fit because he's not done and he doesn't want to come back and finish it. He wants to finish it before we move on to something else. And I kind of get into that same mode. So I found that for myself, I need to talk it through with somebody who knows what I'm trying to do, who understands what I'm trying to do, and then they help me process out of it. We got it done, and as soon as it was done, I was able to sit down and go right back to work like I never missed anything. But something like that for me, it took me down for 2 days. For 2 days, this sat in my head, and I just couldn't make anything. I still got things done, but I didn't feel productive. I just felt like I was stuck. We have some people that we're working with. It's the same thing. She has I'll use this example because Quincy and I can relate to this. When you have a bunch of projects around your home and you want to get things done and you need to get it done in a certain amount of time because you want to get done before the winter comes or what have you. So when that list is in my head, it overwhelms me every time something else gets added because we haven't put it anywhere. The list is not, it needs to be somewhere where I can physically see it and know what we're going to be doing. And I can mark it off the list as completed. Because if we don't, when it's in my head, everything that gets said from the point that we decide there, let's say you and I sat down and said, okay, we're going to do 5 things in the garden, 3 things in the front yard, and 2 things in the house. And I've got this list in my head, but it's not anywhere physical. From that moment on, when we come back and say, oh, hey, we've got football schedule coming up. Oh, hey, we've got baseball schedule coming up. Oh, hey, we've got so-and-so's coming over on this weekend. All of those things compact that list. Even though that list can shift, it can be moved. It's not a guaranteed everything is going to get done. It still overwhelms me because I haven't put it down anywhere to see we're going to do this on this day or we're going to do this on this day. So Quincy and I got together and kind of developed our calendar talks out of one, his work schedule, because I need to know where he's going to be. He needs to know where I'm going to be. And then we figure out family stuff around that. He plans his work schedule. I plan the family schedule. Well, in that calendar talk, we decided to put this list of projects and say, okay, how many of these things, we made the list, put it out on paper and said, how many of these things can we get done in one weekend? How many people in the house are going to be home to help? How do we break it down? Once we did that, I don't think about it anymore. It is out of my head. It's on a piece of paper. It's in the calendar. It's good. I know when it's happening and I don't stress about it because it has a place now. If I don't get those things out, every little thing from we need to start training Hunter and Kirsten on this, or we need to start talking about these things, or we need to sit down and work about all of those things compile in my mind as things that are just on top of each other because I didn't put this list anywhere.
Yeah. And definitely a great lesson that Coach Rita taught us. While everything is sitting in your mind, and look, I can't tell you the details of it, but there's been times there's been like 3 or 4 things, but those 3 or 4 things I made such a big deal. There was really no more room in the trunk. And so the smallest things that come in make you feel like you are overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be small stuff. So while you keep it boxed up or you keep it in your mind, once you write those things down, it's like you're cleaning the slate. Like you are cleaning the trunk or the closet or whatever it is, and you're making more room. And at least you know now it's on paper, you can prioritize it, and you can move along. But and even in life, if you feel like you are overwhelmed all the time and every little thing has you like a cat on a hot tin roof, you need to take up the practice of journaling to get everything that's going on inside of you out of your mind and start to give your mind an opportunity to relax and take a step back too and look at this. We've been programmed for over a decade with this right here. We've been programmed with these, that we have the idea that we have to be stimulated 24 hours a day, or at least as long as we're awake. We can't even sit in peace and think about nothing anymore unless you do it intentionally. So you can see at the blink of an eye what's going on around the world. So that can add to you mentally and emotionally. And then you have the pressures of life that are going on. And then you have the to-do list around the house that you need to get done. And this is one of the things I just talked about. I actually shared this on a national meeting with a company that I work for. And I told Jeannie this the other day, during one of our check-ins, where I said, look, I had to reframe my mind because I was getting frustrated about things. And this is a small rabbit trail, but I think it's important for the listener. And it actually applies to everything that we're talking about here. I said, look, I can have the attitude. We got a couple of trees growing in the back behind our fence that are pushing our fence down. And it's like, oh, I have to go get those trees. I have to go cut those trees down. And I thought about it, because it's like I got to cut the dang trees down. They're pushing my fence down, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought about it, I was like, wait, but I have a fence. I got a fence that closes in my backyard. I have a fence. Wait a minute. I have a backyard. No matter how big or small it is, I have a backyard. What's attached to the back? I have a house. And it's dirty and it needs to be cleaned, but I have a house. And it's like my garage is dirty. Oh, but I have a garage. And so this really started to put some things into perspective for me that I needed a change in my mindset because I had allowed some things to begin to influence me improperly. So now instead of saying I have to go cut the tree down, it's hey, I get to go cut the tree down and then I get to fix my fence because it's my fence. It's our fence. And so it is a mindset shift. And I did a Facebook Live video on it. And I said, hey, I'm just asking you for the next 2 or 3 days, when you think about the things you have to do, why don't you switch the language in your mind and say, I get to go do these things? Because even with our children, life is so good at giving you perspective. It gives me perspective. When I get down and out because my son is screaming at me, cussing at me, getting physical towards me, it's not long after those times happen and I'm very, very low. I'm in the mud. You kind of get a story, you hear a story about a family who has a child and that child has never spoken the words, I love you, audibly to their parent. My son says it so much that he irritates the fire out of me. But the perspective shift is, in life, there is beauty and there is beast. There are both of these things. But you get to have the beauty and you can work through the beast side of things. And I am thankful for those moments, after I hear a parent that their child has never said, I love you, because my son and my daughter, as difficult as they can be, they do tell me often, I love you. And they show me they love me, which is amazing. And because then you could take it a step further. And then there are people out there that all they wanted was to have a family, tried to have children, and they couldn't. And so it just takes a shift in perspective to see where you really are. There's a lot of fake that's going on social media, to the point of people like renting clothes in a small spot that looks like a private jet to talk about going to said venue, and then they just walk out of all of it, take everything back, and it's all fake. And so we start to measure ourselves by people's fake personas as opposed to maximizing the love and connection that we have right in front of us. And that happens to married couples. It happens to parents who have children. It happens to children who've had a great life and maybe they have some disappointment, but they didn't grow up in a situation that was as rough as their parents. There are really things that happen though that are extremely tragic and difficult, and people do have bad situations. But we went to my daughter's boyfriend's church today, and the pastor gave us some perspective and said, hey, the median income on planet Earth, like globally, is around $2,500 a year. Yeah. Globally, the median income is about $2,500 a year. So if you don't feel like you're rich, you might need some global perspective in what other people are working through, because we tend to get so focused on us and self and my and I and me that we don't look out for other people as much as we could. If you want to know more about that, maybe I'll bring all my daughters in here that work in fast food, and you'll see how people treat them for a $6 hamburger. It's crazy because we tend to be very selfish human beings. Here's a couple things I want to talk about real quick based on what you were talking about. And it's some of these things that you do. And we asked the question because Bill asked the question, why do you do what you do? And I'm telling you right now, if you're in cycles in your life, if you're good for a while and then you're not, if you're good for a while and then you're not, but you can't seem to make progress, if you get triggered, if things happen and you shut down and you can't move forward, there's something going on. There's somewhere that you are stuck and you're still operating as if you were that particular age in that moment, etc. Sounds grandiose. I don't have any PhDs or LEBs or whatever you want to call them.
Alphabet soup.
I don't have any alphabet soup, but what I do know is this, is that you're stuck in the past. And the past is holding you captive. So when you're young and you don't get what you want, if you've raised children, you know this. You used to be, if you're listening to this program, a child. If you don't get what you want, what you do is you create actions that get you what you want, even if it's not healthy. So if you want attention from your parents and they're not giving you attention, then you create a disturbance so that you get attention. And you hear people talk about, well, hey, bad attention is attention. And you hear about young people that go out with the wrong kind of people because any attention is better than no attention. And so when you find yourself doing the same things, like Jeannie said, there's more awareness. I don't know if it's because we have access to more information or what, but as you start to understand, you go, man, every time X, Y, or Z happens, I act this way. Why is it? Quick story. I used to be a people pleaser. I used to feel like I wasn't good enough. I did not know that I had been believing a lie for 40 years of my life. Is that crazy? 40 years. Okay, what was it? Here's what it was. When I was 5, my parents got divorced. Somehow, some way, I made their divorce about me. Why wasn't I good enough for X, Y, and Z? Why wasn't I good enough for you to do this for? Why wasn't I good enough for you to fight for your marriage? And I totally personalized it. I took it. And obviously, I wasn't good enough for you to save your marriage. So that must mean that I'm not good enough. So I wanted to prove to everybody I came in contact with, if not everybody, a large number of people, that I mattered and that I was good enough to be in your life. And I did everything I could. I would go all in at such an unhealthy pace. And I did not know until it was brought to my attention that I was acting in this sort of way because I had been believing a lie since I was younger, since I was 5 years old. And I figured this out at 45. And it liberated me and set me free. So why do you do what you do? Why is it when you hear X or Y that you act in such a way or you get triggered? Why is it that when something doesn't go your way that you are petulant and you punish your spouse or you punish your children? Why is it when you get disappointed, you lash out and you start to attack the people that love you? And it almost seems uncontrollable for why you're doing what you do, and you regret it and you don't want to do it. So the question is, what are the lies that you're believing in your life? Where are you stuck? Because I, in one particular area of my life, was stuck 40 years in the past believing something that had nothing to do with me. And you can have those misconceptions in your life. And then you, as you get older, you don't do what people tell you. You do what you see them do. Your parents, because they did what they saw their parents do. And so you start to treat people in that manner. And you're good at hiding it at first. Like you hide it very well. You mask it. But when things get difficult or when anxiety comes in and starts to put pressure on you, that's when your real character gets uncovered. That's when it gets exposed. And then you start to understand who you are and why you do what you do. If you start and you don't finish, if you procrastinate. And look, my standard is not perfection. My standard, the Quincy Moran standard, is excellence. It's attainable. Perfection is not. And I accept that. The one dude, as I've heard it said many times, the one guy that was perfect, well, he got murdered. So I'm not on that plan. He did it for me. Thank you, Jesus. So I want you to know that. Increase your awareness about who you are and about why you do what you do. It's a brilliant question. And look, Jeannie and I have the rain check when it comes to our sex life because of autism and things that were outside of our control. We developed the rain check. Now, look, whenever we have to write the rain check, doesn't mean I'm not going to be disappointed because it's like, oh, it's a rain check. No, I can still be disappointed. I have to learn how to process through the disappointment. But I can have so much gratitude because she considered me. And it's like, oh, you considered me. I'm very disappointed that we're not going to be naked together tonight, but I get it. And sometimes when she calls the rain check, I'm like, oh, thank God, because I'm exhausted. But I'm still disappointed because I'm looking forward to that. But your life can get derailed because you simply don't understand that you are disappointed and you don't know how to manage it. And it can screw things up for you as an adult, as a 47-year-old adult. And people are stuck in the past. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the labeling everything. There can be value in labeling things, but then we can overdo it.
For me, I think there's two sides to this. One, I prefer the label for the simple fact that now I know what something is, and now I can learn more about it, and I can start making progress towards not necessarily fixing it, but learning how to manage. I can't fix autism, but I can manage some things that I know create overstimulation. I can manage some things. We'll use the example of what's happened in the last 2 weeks. It's October. Hunter's watching a baseball game. I'm not thinking that he's watching a baseball game on a regular TV channel, and all the commercials are scary Halloween movies that are coming up. Hunter mentally is between 7 and 9 years old. We don't do scary. He doesn't like scary. So anything that's processing through the TV that is scary is amplified for him. We didn't know it. One night he's going to bed. He had been having a great week. And this one night he's going to bed and he just starts losing his crap. He's yelling at people. He's cussing. He's slamming doors. He doesn't want to go in his room. He doesn't want to be by himself. And I finally walked up and I'm like, what's going on, dude? And I'm looking at the TV. He's watching baseball. And I'm telling him, like, you're watching baseball. You're in your room. You got, like, this is what you asked for. And a commercial came on. And it has the It clown, and Bubba covers his face and says, no. And I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. Because
you're an idiot.
I didn't think about it. And I know not everybody would think this way, but we have games pre-recorded for him in our TV set. So when he was wanting to watch Dodger baseball and it's scary season, he has to watch previous games.
Yeah, it's funny because my brother jokes about it. We joke about it often. I mean, I can't tell you how many times the Dodgers beat the Yankees to win the World Series.
I know, right?
World.
But you know what?
Yes.
It keeps Bubba happy.
No, it's great. It's great.
But it's also, it was just one of those things that I didn't think about because it's October, life's happening. We're moving through our normal daily program. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, and I feel like crap because I know scary things are worse for him than they are for other people. So immediately we've got him on a routine now. At nighttime when he goes to bed, we play old games in the summertime because scary movies don't show up as often. But it's those types of things. Like for myself, I know I don't like crowds. I know that I don't like being in certain areas. So when Quincy is with me, I have certain things that we have built between the two of us that make me feel more comfortable. It's nobody's fault I feel that way. It is nothing happened to me to make me feel that way. I honestly think it all started when the COVID crap happened. That's when all this stuff became more crazy for me because people were rude. They were a-holes and I didn't like it. And they would crowd in and then they would make space and then they would crowd in and then we make space. And it was just, get off of me. I don't like you.
Get off of me.
Don't start. Do not start. But for me, it became a habit too, because we build bubbles around Hunter and Kiki when we go places. And I hadn't thought about that, but we create a hole for them because they don't like to be touched. They don't like crowds. They don't like overwhelming noises. some of those things I adapted to myself because they became comfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the labels on that side of things, labels help me because it gives me something to learn about and start managing. When the problem for me with labels is when the label becomes an excuse.
Okay,
Well,
well,
I have this, which means I can't do blah, 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 or my brain won't allow me to whatever. They're in some cases fair, but in other cases, I see it a lot in people that we work with and that we talk to, that it's like, no, you don't want to adjust. You don't want to try something different. You are comfortable in your misery. You are comfortable in
yeah.
what you're dealing with. And it's a lot easier to throw that up as your excuse and say, well, no, I can't. You haven't even tried. I mean, tell a 5-year-old, 5-year-old comes to you and says, I can't play baseball. Have you ever swung a bat? No. Have you ever thrown a ball? No. Have you ever watched the game? Have you ever tried to play the game?
Yeah.
No. Okay, then how do you know you can't?
Yeah, it's a great lesson that the Lord taught me years ago about can't versus won't.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, just simply if you're on a healthy eating plan because you have some goals physically that you want to achieve, you say I can't. That's very disempowering. You say I won't do it because of this reason, and then you can apply that to this situation as well, which is I can't do that. My brain's not wired that way, or you won't because you're stuck. And you when you started talking about the labels, here's what I wrote down. And you did all the work for me, so I appreciate it. And I think the reason you're able to articulate it so effectively is because you're a product of that. You were stuck in many ways,
Mm-hmm.
but you have grown tremendously over the last 15 years, more than 15 years, but when we've intentionally been putting in work. And so here's what I wrote down, and it's not really prolific, but I wanted to have it for awareness in my own mind, is that a label is either a crutch or it's a catalyst. So if it's a crutch, you're going to use it as an excuse on why you can't, why you aren't able to, why you don't try. And then you're going to expect other people in your life to adapt to you because you need control of these situations. You have to have control. So it's, I can't do this because of this label, so you're going to have to do this to accommodate me.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a catalyst, now what you have is the opportunity to gain awareness for why you are doing what you do, and then you can seek to manage it or you can seek to overcome it, because it is possible to overcome some of these things. So it says a catalyst to what did I write? To understand why we do what we do. How can we strategize moving and making progress to overcome it? And you don't have to overcome it in a day. But I'll tell you, once you get strategic about these things and you start to understand why you're doing what you do, and you start making intentionality a part of your life, when you recognize it, you'll start to gain momentum. So you can manage it more effectively until the point where you go, it didn't affect me the way it used to.
Well, and here's the thing. The difference between managing and controlling. Because when you're in that place of disappointment, you want to control everything because you don't want to be disappointed anymore. So if I control the narrative and I convince others that it has to be this way. We have someone that if we're going somewhere, and we could be going somewhere in 3 weeks' time, where are we going to park? What time are we leaving?
Mm-hmm.
Do we know how much it costs? Well, I looked at the roads and it says it's going to take us X amount of time to get there. Well, yeah, okay, you're looking at the roads today on a Sunday. We're going on a Friday, which is also a baseball game day and he has to know all the variables and has to create the perfect whatever situation for their own comfort. Now, the rest of us are supposed to adjust accordingly. And for years, you and I did that. If we were involved with other people, it was whatever's most accommodating to other people, because we have random variables.
Because we felt so unaccommodating.
And then we got to the place where now I can manage. I don't have to control it. I can manage it, meaning we're going to leave at this time. Our hope is to get there by this time. This is what our plan is. But here's what you need to know. We have these two. If we wake up and we have a meltdown in the morning, we are not going to leave on time. And we know this.
Mm-hmm.
And we have built in a time block to say, if we don't leave on time, we got a cushion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to get there 30 minutes early. When I go to a hockey game, perfect example. When I go to a hockey game, I want to be there an hour early. Why? I want to get in, get parked, get my seat, get my food, and sit down. Because when the game starts, I'm not moving. I don't move. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I don't want to get out of my seat. I don't want to go to the concession stand. I don't want to be in the crowd. I want to watch my game, period. So we know, you and I, it takes us X amount of time to get down there. We know what the traffic's going to be like. If it's a rainy day or whatever, we build an extra time to give me that hour. Now, if we don't have that hour, it's okay because I have a whole hour before the game to get all these things done that I want to get done. So if we get there and there's 20 minutes of the game, I still have 20 minutes to do what I want to do and go sit. It's managing. It's not controlling. I can't control the traffic. I can't control the weather, but I can manage myself enough to give me a window where I'm still comfortable to do what I need to do.
Yeah, there's a healthy side of it. I agree with you. I think it's a great example. And, you know, one thing I want to make you aware, you, the listener, and Jeannie and I aware of when it comes to disappointment. One of the factors that you can look at and say, am I dealing with disappointment? When you don't get what you want and you're bummed out and you're frustrated, and then you start acting in such a way where you want the person that disappointed you to feel pain because you feel pain, that means you don't know how to manage disappointment. And that might just be one of the factors, but it's very powerful. And I've really, truly had to coach, as dumb as this sounds, I've had to coach myself through it. Because there were times in our relationship, like Jeannie, in order to sleep, comfortably or sleep peacefully, which is not really a thing right now because of autism, but she loves for me to cuddle her, or to put, my arm around her.
You got to touch my butt so I can sleep.
I like that. But there were times where, we're supposed to have sex that night and autism is just a bear and it's getting later and later. And I'm laying there waiting, thinking, okay, if she ever falls asleep, if Kirsten ever falls asleep, she's coming in and we're going to get to have our time together because I need this. I want it. I need it. And then Jeannie would come in exhausted and she would just go to sleep. And I was disappointed. I was hurt and I was disappointed. And I would lay there and get mad at myself for getting mad at her because I know what she goes through because I would take the weekend shift. And I would allow that to govern my behavior. And so I would punish her by not cuddling her when she's sleeping. And so that was my inability to manage my own disappointment, where I wanted to punish her because I felt like she was punishing me. And I was disappointed that I wasn't getting what I wanted and needed.
And it's so funny now because there are nights when we're not fussing, we're not fighting or anything, but Quincy will come to bed and he'll be like, and I'm rolled over, I'm ready to go to sleep, and he'll tell me, I need to lay on my back for a little bit. I'm not gonna be able to cuddle you right now. Like, he's intentional about letting me know just as much as the rain check is important. It's his way of letting me know I'm not mad at you. This is not, so that I don't start getting into my head about things. And it's funny because in people that we've coached with, it's like, you're really that into every little detail you have to tell your spouse, no, I'm not gonna, I'm not doing this because I'm not upset at you. It's like, well, yeah, because we made an agreement to communicate to each other, especially when it's something that is very important to the other person or something that is a need. For me, cuddling is part of my personal or my, what do you call it? My affection and my touch that I need to be connected. And I don't need it for long. It's just I sleep better when we cuddle. And he's literally cuddles me, 10 minutes maybe, if that. And then you radiate so much heat that you can't stand it and you roll over. But it's just something that I feel better with. So he gives it to me. And if he can't give it to me for whatever reason, He lets me know. And it's not because I can't live without it. It is simply a form of communication between the two of us. And it's a respect for me to say, hey, I'm not, I know you need this. I know you want this, but this is the situation right now. As soon as it's situated, I'll come cuddle you.
Yeah.
It's just being respectful to
Well,
me.
it parallels or exceeds respect, because it's me considering your needs on
Yeah.
purpose. And we, as married people, don't do that, or we'll do it begrudgingly. We'll do it with a begrudging heart.
I see a lot of people lately, it's tit for tat. It's like, okay, well, you want me to do that, then you need to do this for me, because if I'm going to sacrifice, or if I'm going to do, it's like, we used to be those people, and it's so weird for me now looking back at that and going, God, we were that ugly.
Mm-hmm.
We were that ugly.
Well, I mean, we as adults do what we saw, unless we're intentional about developing it. That's where what you started off with, that's where the awareness comes in. I've said for years, awareness can be a weapon for good in the hands of a warrior. It can also be a weapon for bad.
Well, the beauty about it is and I've noticed this again in coaching and in our own lives. Once I became aware of certain things about myself, and I see it in one of our kids, and maybe it's not something that was one of my better traits. Now I'm in a position to go, hey, hun, can I tell you something? And I open the conversation to help said child. You got a lot of things from me, you got a lot of things from your dad, but this one right here, this one didn't do me any favors. This was a hard one for me to learn at 30.
Yeah.
Not to do, or I had to learn to change how I said things in order to not become that way. And it's fun for me now. It's really interesting for me, really, because I watch, like, I'll use Mo as the example. Mo is like me, where she has plans A to Z. So if this is plan A, and if A doesn't work, then here's plan B. And if B doesn't work, then I can do this. And if C doesn't work, then I can do. And my uncle used to tease me about that. He's like, man, you have A, B, C, D, J, F, K. He's like, you have them all the way down to the end of the alphabet, because your brain does not want anyone to be disappointed. You don't want anything to be missed. You don't want to upset anyone. You don't want to not have that end goal. Problem is, I'm building myself up to accept that I'm going to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I expect it now. So I'm building all of these scenarios in case. And she started doing the same thing. And I had to stop her and say, look, this is the plan. We don't make any deviations until there is a reason to deviate.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need any other options. We don't need any other windows. Because when she was trying to decide on college and her enlistment, it was just back and back and back and back and back and back, like just constant. And it's like, babe, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Mom. The whole time we were sitting there, I just kept thinking, but the Air Force, but the Air Force, but the Air Force. I said, then scratch everything. We're going Air Force. That's what your heart is telling you. That's what you want. We don't need a plan. We don't need 50 other things telling us yes or no. We don't need all the signs. This is what you want. This is what we're doing. And now when she's planning things, she's getting a little bit better about asking me questions and saying, okay, well, I'm looking at this, but what about? And it's like, okay, stop. What is the end goal? What is the end goal? What are we trying to do? And she'll tell me, okay, how many paths do we have to choose from to get there? There's 3. Okay. Which one can we take currently? Where are we? Where are we aligned? What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, this is this path. And so far I have XYZ done. But this one requires this, and this one requires this. Okay, then we're going to stay on the plan we're on until something says we can't. But now you know that there's other options. We just don't need to explore them right now because it's not necessary. You're building anxiety you don't need.
Yeah.
You are creating chaos for yourself because you are setting yourself up. I'm going to be disappointed, so I need to know what's next. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Keep moving forward until we hit a speed bump. We don't need to throw any in the road. And I think it's working better. On the flip side, she's like you, where she crams so much crap into one day. And she does it with the goodness in her heart because she wants to help her buddies and she wants to be there for the boyfriend and she wants to do things for the family and she's just, I don't want to disappoint anybody. That's not how life works.
It can work that way.
You can't.
It can.
No. In order for her to be healthy.
I didn't say it would be healthy.
From physical to mental to emotional, and we've had this conversation recently. In order for you to be healthy, you have to prioritize yourself and what has to be done. And then from there, you make time in places that you have it. If we get one weekend and you can't spend time with your friends or other people because we've got a very short window, then that's what you do. And the next time you come up, then we are the ones that have to make the sacrifice to say, okay, well, you gave up time with other people to spend time with us. So now we're going to swap and you go spend time with them. And it's a learned thing.
I know it is.
But she has to learn those things. I'm saying that because it's something that we dealt with. This was part of the problem in the beginning of our marriage was just Quincy was spread so thin. There wasn't a whole lot of Quincy left for the things that were priority. Yeah. Because you had a lot of priorities and some of them just didn't need to be.
Well, that's a lesson for another day. And trust me, it can be done. I never said it could be done healthy. Mm-hmm. And like we have talked about in our most recent check-in and before, there are some things that you can only learn by one of the greatest teachers on planet Earth, and that's called experience. And so if you want to know how you act and what your personality traits are, good and bad, step back and observe your children. Because like it or not, they do what they see. But we have a heart out. It's time for us to wrap this episode up. Any final thoughts, honey?
I don't think so. I think we've covered quite a bit on this one.
Yeah, hopefully I'm confident we've given you some perspective. So if you have anything that you want to bounce off of Jeannie and I from a perspective of, what are your thoughts or can you talk through something, feel free to give us an email, Quincy@mvsmpodcast.com. If you can't spell Quincy, that's okay. Go to quincymoran.com. Wait, if you can't spell Quincy to email me, how could you go there on my website, QUINCYMORAN, quincymoran.com. And if this episode, or any episode you've listened to, has made a positive impact, it's made you think, you've been entertained, are you not entertained? Then we ask that you be a great bro and share it with everybody you know. Yeah. That's all. For Jeannie Moran, I am Quincy Moran, and this is Man vs. Marriage, the podcast.